Hello, my name is Brian McMaster. I am originally from Winnsboro, South Carolina, and I currently live in Washington, D.C. I'm going to read something that I wrote shortly after my mother died. It is a piece of creative nonfiction that is entitled Duck Hunting in Mom's House. It's for Mom, Bob, Kim, and Steve. My mother was 95 when she died, and on the day of her funeral, shortly after we buried her ashes next to Dad, I caught her sneaking back into her home of the last 47 years. I was surprised. Perhaps even more surprising, Mom chose to visit her home in the form of a duck, a female wood duck to be exact. Bear with me. There's very little information on one's mother returning from the grave to inhabit a duck, even on the internet, and less about how much she remains herself and how much of her becomes, well, duck-like. But at first, I did not recognize my mother in her duck guise. And who knows what possessed Mom to choose a wood duck to inhabit for her return? Maybe the choices were limited, but wood ducks are one of the few types of duck in South Carolina that nest in the hollow of trees, or sometimes in unused chimneys. Anyway, a duck crawled into one of the 4 chimneys on Mom's house looking for a nice hollow place to nest or for a way in. The chimney she chose hadn't been used for 35 years. I know this because when the duck slowly slid all the way down the chimney, she pushed out a wadded up newspaper that my father must have shoved up there as a damper. Dated December 17, 1982, the headline read, "Bob Hope Still Entertains the Troops." She also pushed out the bones of another duck and a desiccated squirrel carcass. The damper must have been tighter at one point. When I heard the sound of a live duck, one dead squirrel, and a bunch of newspaper coming out onto the porch fireplace, I investigated. At first glance, I saw a bunch of old newspapers. At second glance, I saw a bunch of bones. And at third glance, I saw a duck leg hanging out of the tight flue. It was paddling. I got gloves and tried to catch the duck, but she decided that the chimney was better than whatever was grabbing her leg from below and scrambled back up as far as she could go. I had a wake to attend and hoped she could get out all the way out of the top. She couldn't and must have come down the chimney and into the porch while we were at the wake at Bob's house. She walked through the porch doors, pooped on Mom's red Bokhara rug, and flew down the hall into Mom and Dad's bedroom. Judging by the volume of poop, I later realized that she spent most of her time in my mother's art studio just off the bedroom. Mom was an artist. The light was lovely all day, and it was her favorite room in the house. At some point, Steve and Maggie came home and noticed nothing amiss. Evidently, Maggie is not a duck hunting terrier. Then Bridget and I came home, and Bridget, who evidently is a duck hunting terrier, went duck poop crazy. She ran down the hall into the bedroom and went berserk in the master bathroom. I ran in after her. Now please pause and consider the scene. My mother's serene, powder blue vintage bathroom contains one 30-pound Kerry Blue Terrier diving into the tub, leaping out onto the toilet, up onto the counter, then turning 180 degrees to repeat the maneuver. She was chasing what I at first thought was a large, gravity-defying rat, until I realized that the rat was the duck flying around the room to get away from the dog. I calmly added my own touch of chaos to the room by yelling and chasing after the dog. I caught Bridget, carried her out, and closed the door. The duck continued flying, or rather banging around the bathroom while I grabbed the gloves. I opened the door, ducked the duck as it flew at my head and curved gracefully into Mom's studio and landed on the easel that she had painted on for 74 years. I moved to grab the duck, but she stamped her webbed foot, cocked her head at me, and fussed at me in wood duck. It was then I realized the duck was Mom. Lord have mercy. I sat down on the ladder-back chair Mom had used to rest and looked critically at her paintings and listened to Mom Duck. I didn't catch much, but she seemed unhappy with her reception in her home. After a while, she stopped fussing, and we regarded each other in silence. It might have been a minute or an hour. She made a quiet peep, jumped lightly down, and allowed me to catch her. When I carried her out of the bedroom, Bridget was waiting, and Maggie, finally realizing there was a duck in the house, joined the barking, jumping, and general bedlam. I finally got Mom Duck outside, leaving the dogs inside. I didn't want to set her on the ground, so I put Mom Duck on top of her car in the yard. She eyeballed me while fussing some more in Wood Duck, and this time I got it. She told me to do something about those dogs. She was sorry about the mess, and would I please clean her rug and studio. Also, she said that I needed to be more gentle when carrying lady ducks around the house. I promised and said I'd be more gentle in the future. We looked at each other. She fluffed her feathers, leaped into the air, flew once around her home and into the dark. Thank you.